You're listening to the Common Fan Podcast, a Husker football podcast for the common fan, by the common fan.
Welcome back to the Common Fan Podcast. We're having all kinds of laughs before we even start recording tonight. I am TJ Burkle, as always, alongside Matty Owens Sr. and Geoff in Lincoln. We've got lots to talk about today, Common Fans. We got a new special teams coordinator. We might not have a spring game. We might not have Valentinos at the stadium. I don't know what's going on. Our pets' heads are falling off. And we stole a top-tier lineman from Notre Dame. So
watch your mouth.
Lots, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous. But first, Common Fans, make sure to go to cpbeef.com. Use the promo code Common Fan. Order all the certified Piedmontese beef your heart desires. Everybody knows at this point it's a beautiful, delicious Nebraska beef product. All the any steak you can think of, ground beef, ribs, beef bacon, roasts, all the beef. And it's good for your chili. It's good for your winter, like good cozy night meals indoors when it's snowing outside. So get all the CP beef your heart desires. Certified Piedmontese, cpbeef.com. Use the promo code Common Fan for 25% off. Do it now. You should also go to silliesco.com, SILLIESCO.com, and get your Common Fan socks.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want socks right now? You need socks every day of the year. Who doesn't need socks? And they have all kinds of fun socks at Sillies, and you can use the promo code GBR for life. That's GBR number 4 LIFE, all one word, GBR for life. Get 25% off there too. Silliesco.com. Make sure you get your Common Fan socks, of course, and then see what else they have. They got lots of fun stuff, fun colors, fun designs, all kinds of fun stuff. Great for you, great for your spouse, great for your friends, great gift ideas, great for everyone. Socks, everyone needs socks. So go to silliesco.com and get your socks. Gentlemen, let's start here. We've got a new special teams coordinator.
Yes.
He's had some of the best special teams units in the country the last 4 years. Now he's coming to Nebraska. We're probably going to win the national championship this year.
I don't know. I don't even think it's probably. I think
that a stretch?
No.
Okay.
No, but you gotta love it. I mean, the guy brought so much energy to the sideline when he was here as linebackers coach.
Yes.
And I mean, even at the time, I was like, I love his energy. At times, was like, okay, he might need to tone it down a little bit.
Dude, so let's back up. We're talking about Mike Ekeler.
Yes.
David City, Nebraska native, right? And home of the Burkles. That's where the Burkles originated when they came to Nebraska City. Yeah. And he played at Kansas State, was awarded by some group Special Teams Player of the Year when he was at Kansas State. And he was on Pelini's staff. He coached linebackers for Bo Pelini. He's been at USC. He's been at Ohio State. He's been at LSU. He's been in a bunch of big name programs. And for the last 4 years, he was the special teams coordinator for Tennessee. And Matt Rhule, it was announced, well, by the time this comes out, I guess it'll be about a week since this, once this episode comes out, that Mike Ekeler was announced as the special teams coach. Sorry, I guess we should have started there with the facts.
We should have.
But my lasting memory of him, Mattio, is of him just like seemingly, he doesn't seem like a big guy, but like just jumping like Michael Jordan on the side around the sidelines when he was on Pelini's staff.
Yeah, you can tell the guy just absolutely loves football, like just loves it.
I'm
so excited. You know, and you look at like the numbers that Tennessee's had with like the punt return average. I've long heard that like you want like a around 10 for punt return average is like pretty good. You know, I think they're at like 14, and they blocked a bunch of kicks. They didn't allow a bunch of block kicks, which we allowed a lot last year. We had like 10 kicks or something like that, field goals and punts. So yeah, this is like need number one to, I think, many of us was get that right. Get that, you know, it's the old three-headed monster or whatever you want to call it. The term's escaping me, but it's offense, defense, special teams, right? That's a huge part of football.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, Matteo, a quote from Huskers Illustrated. Quote, special teams at Tennessee under Ekeler were considered elite. The Vols ranked either first or second in the SEC in punt return average. Pardon you, Jeff. In Ekeler's first 3 seasons, the Vols were first in the SEC in punt return defense in 2 of his first 3 years. In 2024, Tennessee averaged 15.7 yards per punt return, 9th in the country, and gave up 6.7 yards per return during okay, that was okay. Well, so that's kind of that's the numbers on special teams. Do I have any? Okay, yeah, that's the gist of what I have there from Huskers Illustrated for attribution there. But and just how like spot on, Matteo, how many times have we talked about like just average special teams play? I guess we said this about the offense too. Just average. Just don't let it be a hindrance. Don't hurt yourself with special teams.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you probably win 2 more games in 2024 alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so, all of 2019, these things pop into my head. All of 2019 was an adventure because we didn't have a place kicker going into the year. We had tryouts for anybody on campus. If you want to try out to be Nebraska's kicker, you can come try out during the season. 2019. And then 2021, I think about that Michigan State game where the black shirts just completely bottled up. Kenneth Walker III had that game won, and we gave up the punt return for the touchdown and ended up losing in overtime. Like the examples go on and on. Just in even some games that we won in 2024, we had kicks blocked against Purdue, block punt against
Rutgers.
Block kicks against Rutgers, block punt in the bowl game. And then, of course, special teams mishaps absolutely cost us the Iowa game. So it's just one of those things we've seen from certain schools that won't be named here, how elite special teams can lead to wins even when you get outplayed in the other phases. But man, if Ekeler can even get us to like average, maybe slightly above average, it'll feel like a massive improvement. It will be a massive improvement.
Yeah, 100%.
What I think about it is it's another one of Matt Rhule's like statement hires. Like he's sending a message here. Like he did it with Dana, right? We needed to change up that offense big time. Things weren't working. He brings in Dana Holgerson to straighten things out, and a little bit different than what we saw with Marcus Satterfield. Statement hire, changing things up in the way we do things. This is completely, it's almost like the anti-opposite of what we've seen before. Now we're going to have somebody out there, tons of energy, like you said, Matt, jumping all over the sidelines. I love it just because of the optics of it. Like, all right, things you said we need to be average at least. I think this guy's probably it's going to be above average, in my opinion, with the way his track record with other schools now. He said Tennessee, wasn't he at USC too before this?
Yeah, in some capacity,
yeah. So he's been all over the place. He's worked with a lot of big time schools, and since he's been at Nebraska, so I'm pretty excited. I think it's gonna be really fun to watch, and it's gonna be really cool to see how things.
Well, and like too with special teams, guys, when you play special teams, you gotta like you're running down on punt coverage or kickoff team. You want to have guys that have a little bit of a screw loose. And so when you've got a guy running the thing that's a little bit nutso, to me, like I'm all for it. I'm all for it because you got to have guys with just a little bit extra juice, right? And that's what Nebraska for so long, like special teams was never a concern. And and you could say part of that was the talent level that we had because we'd had guys that are on second and third team that could be starting anywhere else and they're playing special teams. But like now I think we're building the talent level back up and we're going to have guys that could be starting on lower level power four programs on our special teams. You combine that with a little bit of the juice, a little bit of the screw loose mentality, and I think we're off and running, guys. Like,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, fantastic. It's just an absolute great hire. And Jeff, something you just said, like the way and TJ said it multiple times, the way Coach Rhule doesn't stand pat. It's so refreshing to have a coach that goes, okay, that is a problem, and I'm going to try to do what I can to fix it. It's not we're going to just tweak this little thing here, and we're going to keep our special teams coordinator, but we're going to make this little adjustment. No, like it needs a big change. It has needed a big change for the last 2 seasons, and we're doing it. And it's so refreshing to have a guy in charge that is willing to make those moves.
I love it just from the fact that Matt Rhule knows what he's doing. It's hires like this are what bring, it gets people even more on his side. You know what I mean? Like he knows what he's doing. He needs the fans to have his back, and hires like this make fans appreciate Matt Rhule and what he does. So it's calculated. I love it. And it's a good hire anyways.
He's absolutely not messing around. Interestingly, guys, and I think this was it's a good lesson and reminder for us not to completely jump off the reservation anytime we hear him say something. But I wrote about the Ekeler hire and how, I mean, I think given the difference that special teams has made, mostly in a negative way, and given what a difference he could make if he flips those units, those special teams units. My contention in the article was this is quite possibly the most important addition, player or coach of the offseason for Nebraska. But another thing I wrote about, and by the way, Common fans, you can find any of these articles on our website, www.commonfan.co, where you can also sign up for our newsletter, which is free, subscribe on YouTube, which is free, all of those things. So go to our website, commonfan.co, check it out. You can keep up with all the fun and frivolity of the Common Fans, and you can read my latest article on Mike Ekeler. But I mentioned this in the article. Rhule gave a press conference the weekend, 2 days before Ekeler was hired, I think 2 or 3 days before. And he talked about special teams. And he said something that I was kind of troubled by. He said, because we all watched, we've talked about this, we're the Common Fans, we're not X's and O's experts, but it clearly wasn't good. It clearly hasn't been good. And so Rhule says, quote, I don't think anything we did wrong was wrong schematically last year. A lot of our problems stem at the snapper position. And once that happens, you're trying to compensate for things. It was not a good year from that perspective. And then he went on to say, quote, I don't think we can put any more time into it in terms of practice. I don't think we can put any more time in terms of meetings. This was very troubling to me because one, like, yes, the snapper was an issue, and that was the reason for some misses and some blocks. Yes, that's true. But there were many other issues, like the return game, generally speaking, and both punt and kick returns. And then also it was like, wow, it sounds like you're saying you put a lot of time into it for what we saw on the field. Is that what you're saying? But I kind of came to the conclusion that, like, for whatever reason, it just wasn't working. They probably were like snapper was an issue, and maybe that does solve a lot of things, fixing the snapper issue. Like, I don't want to discount what he said, but I also think, like, coaches say things and they choose not to say things for reasons, right? Mm-hmm. So, we saw with Satterfield, Rhule wasn't going to throw him under the bus. He's a professional. He's not going to stand up there and blame somebody else. But what did he do? What were his actions? He went and hired Dana Holgorsen.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Same here. Like, he probably didn't want to throw Ed Foley under the bus. They've coached together before. Foley's done a lot of good work with the high schools in Nebraska. I'd be kind of interested to see if he has an opportunity to keep a role on the staff doing something, because he's rebuilt a lot of the relationships around Nebraska. And I love his pictures when he posts pictures on social media from food from diners around Nebraska. But so Rhule maybe didn't want to throw him under the bus. Maybe he didn't want to throw the players under the bus who were on those units. Maybe he wants them to, he wants guys to have a reason to, whatever it was.
Just the snapper. Screw that guy.
He's pissing me off.
He's gone anyway. We brought a new snapper. We got a snapper in the transfer portal, so he's gone. He didn't make the 105, that's for sure. So anyway, it's just a good lesson. Like, 2 days later, he hires Mike Ekeler, and maybe he already had Ekeler in the boat at that point. But basically, like, actions speak louder than words. I'm not saying we shouldn't listen to what Matt Rhule says, but sometimes you got to wait for the whole picture to kind of develop, right?
Right.
So probably just because Husker fans, especially on social media, everyone, like, the minute something remotely frustrating or controversial is muttered by anyone surrounding the program, 417 people have to comment on it, and then everybody has to comment on those comments, and stuff gets out of control really quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. Threat level 1000 for that.
Threat level midnight.
Yeah.
DEFCON 1.
All right, switching gears. Any other thoughts on Ekeler? Just really exciting stuff there, guys.
Yeah, just glad to have him back. Glad to have him back on the Nebraska sideline.
It's just
welcome back, Mike.
Love you, Mike.
How are you guys gonna feel when we actually
love you, Mike?
The first time we feel the kick and actually get positive yardage out of it. Like, what are you gonna do?
I guarantee you there's gonna be like like a sarcastic standing ovation for like a 12-yard punt return.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So also at that same press conference I referenced, switching gears, when Rhule talked about special teams, he said something that made national headlines about the spring game. And he said he highly doubted it would happen. And he went on to say, quote, "I hate to say it like this. It's really because last year we were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that." He went on to say, "The word tampering doesn't exist anymore." This is a quote. "It's just absolutely free, open market. So I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world," end quote. I guess it shouldn't be surprising. That's kind of eye-popping. I guess that's why it made headlines nationally.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense,
Yeah, I
right?
get it.
Like and really, I read that and I'm like, oh dang, but we talked about this last spring. Like, do we care about the spring game? And kind of our
Yeah.
consensus here with the three of us was like, not really. But like, we want to know what's going on in spring ball, and that's just
Yeah.
like kind of what you see. It's like, but I'm kind of thinking like, is Rhule ahead of the game here on this with everything that's going on? Like, I would be surprised to see other schools follow the lead if we just do decide to say, hey, forget the spring game. You know, the thing that sucks, and I've said this before, is there are some people who maybe can't make it to a regular season game. Maybe can't afford it. Maybe they've got four kids like I do, and that gets a little prohibitive with cost. Like
Yeah.
that's an opportunity for those people to get in the stadium, to stand and clap for the fight song, and do all those things. That's the crummy part from the way I see it, is that people missing out on that, and it's an excuse in April to like get the game day feel a little bit. That's the only thing that I think is like that kind of sucks. That won't happen if they don't do the spring game. But other than that, I'm like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Matt. Like, I understand what he's saying, especially since it's televised. So I guess my question is, can we just untelevise it? Like, can we just have the spring game and just not have it on television? Or I don't know. In my years past, like I always viewed the spring game kind of like the Pro Bowl. Like it's there, it's fun, it's an event. Like, can you just change it up a little bit then instead of doing like an actual scrimmage?
Like
Have some
skills
games, have some
competition.
fun out there. Yeah. Do something like that. Just something to get the crowd into it, but still like an event that you can attend. It still generates some money for the university, but also gives like a good time for, the kids to go to and the families to go to, like you're saying, that maybe couldn't necessarily go to an actual regular season game. So
Yeah,
I
that's a
get it.
thought. That's a
I
thought.
mean,
I get it.
if they did the game, they didn't televise it, but they sold tickets, Jeff, then you run the risk of, Michigan sending Connor
Of Connor
Stalions.
Exactly. I was going to
Stalions,
say, you're going to have somebody out there with binoculars.
the fake mustache on,
Yep.
and
Yeah. So
trench
yeah,
coat.
he wouldn't be buying tickets. He'd figure out a way to get on the sideline in
Damn,
like
Michigan
He's gonna make
Nebraska
the
or
find a
something.
way.
he's gonna do
You're
the
right.
Dare drug-free pledge at halftime and get it for free.
No, so what was, I totally agree with you guys. I guess what really jumped out to me is, and maybe it shouldn't be surprising, we all kind of know it's, I don't like, I think everyone kind of knows this tampering. What if there is a tampering rule, no one's following it at this point, right? Like
Correct.
guys read, how do guys enter the portal and a day later they're making commitments somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of money involved now. It's big money. Someone is going to have to come in with some parameters and guardrails for all of this because it's madness. On3 just did a really interesting article just about like what schools are investing the most in NIL, but also like things that players are asking for, like private jets are on the list, cars, stuff for family. Like it's really out of control and ridiculous. But that's side note. But I think that just his point about being such a problem that you can't even televise a spring game, that's insane to me.
Crazy.
Again, it's the portal give it, the portal take it away. It's always an opportunity. Like there's always opportunities to find talent when you need it in the portal, and everybody gets excited about that. But it just sucks as a fan. It sucks to like you're going to lose guys every year to the portal. This year, it kind of felt like, at least from the Nebraska perspective, after a little bit slower year of not losing guys in the last offseason, it felt a lot more hectic this year. Guys leaving, coaches leaving, that was part of it, but just a lot of craziness there. And it's hard to, like we think about growing up and we still talk about our favorite players from those days, and you get attached to guys because they're around for 4 and 5 years. And that's also how you build a program and camaraderie and all those things. So it's definitely losing something in college football. And then now it's impacting things like the spring game, and I agree. I'm with you guys. Like we talked about this a fair amount last year. I'll read in spring ball. Everybody's so missing football. I'll read every practice report during spring ball. I love to know what's going on, but the game itself has never done a whole lot for me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
agree.
I really watched the whole thing. Yeah,
the play calling's extra vanilla, and it's kind of like
it's
whatever.
Scrimmage.
But I do wonder if the Big Ten has something to say about it, because they're going to televise it on BTN, and that's ad revenue, and that's all those things. So you wonder if they're going to be like, no, like we're planning on televising your spring game, and you need to do the spring game. Even if they have the authority to do that, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so here's part of the piece too that I don't think Rhule talked about. But last year, Demetrius Bell and Bly Hill both had season-ending injuries in the spring game.
Yeah,
right.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I know
that can happen in practice too.
I was just say they practice hard during the season, so that can happen in practice. But I wonder if that's a factor. You have to assume they'll do some sort of public event and maybe have some competitions, have the players around.
That would make
do
sense.
Something, right?
That would make sense.
So people can't go to a lot of games or something can come do that or whatever. But I don't know if it'll be something worthy of televising. But you got to figure they'll do something, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird. We're saying all of this, and I don't think any of us are going to lose any sleep tonight over the spring game. But it does feel like, I don't know. I feel like college football is changing so rapidly. It feels
it's like
fans are losing something.
I feel like I think it's probably a statement or a testament to our age too. It's just things you get used to and you take it for granted after a while. And we said on the last podcast that we talked about the spring game, and it really didn't affect us one way or the other. But it is just another part of your life that you've probably enjoyed and didn't really appreciate as much as you get older that you probably should have. And so it just kind of sucks that you see things like that you used to have as just an everyday part of your life every year part of the season possibly not be there anymore. So just kind of weird.
I don't know how old you are, Jeff, but I got a lot of runway left, pal.
Okay. Yeah. I know you do. You're a healthy boy. you do a lot of stuff at the doctor frequently. Good for you.
That was not. Oh, do I? That was a very thoughtful point, Jeff. I didn't mean to. I'm
trying to be a good, respectful Common fan here. To all you Common fans out there, I'm sorry if you're losing something here. I don't really care about the spring game, but if you're losing something, I'm sorry that
we're with you.
That's
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say I don't really care much about being healthy or going to the doctor.
That either. But good for TJ.
I'm not that healthy, but I try. We all try. We're all trying our best. Right?
We're all trying. Yep.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on the spring game? We got a couple more high points to hit here. We're in
spring game now. I think we've set our piece.
By the time this episode comes out, it'll be the day after the Super Bowl. And we're kind of right now, I mean, we're already kind of there, but we're in this like no man's land. I think we've talked about this before. I really don't like January and February.
It's terrifying.
Like, and then like March Madness, life starts getting a little bit better. And then after that, it's pretty much baseball season. And then, then it's summer and everybody can everything gets a little bit better until it's college football time again. But boy, this is the time of year. Even the players, they're doing winter workouts, they're doing study hall, they're not having any fun. Like this is the time of year. This time of year sucks.
Yeah, really the next 5-6 weeks until from early February till March Madness starts. It's just cling on, just hang on, guys.
Hey, and the Common fans are going to be here to help you get through it.
We are. Okay? We're going to be here.
Commonfan.co, www.commonfan.co. Go to the website. We're going to be doing episodes at least once a week throughout the offseason. Fear not, Common fans. We're here to get you through it. We're here to have fun and frivolity and talk about all the timely topics of the day, like Jeff losing his Valentinos at the stadium.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm not sure I fully grasp what all this means, but let's go here. This is
I took a look at that article you were talking about. I read through that thoroughly because
I'm glad you did, Jeff.
This is where I thrive. Okay.
What, reading?
Concessions.
Oh, concessions. Yeah.
Concessions.
So more big news this week. There's always news with Husker football, even in the doldrums that we just talked about. There's always news. So the let's see, Aramark Sports and Entertainment will serve food, beer, and other drinks at Husker football, volleyball, and soccer games. By the way, the beer thing is new. So the Philadelphia-based company agreed to a 10-year, $10 million contract with the university. It's still got to be approved by the Board of Regents. I'm not sure when that meeting's taking place. Anyway, here's one thing that jumped out. This is from a Nebraska Public Media article. It's very short. That's why Jeff was able to read it.
Yeah, it took 2 seconds. Just like that.
Many small words.
Yeah.
The new contract
Board of Regents. What does this mean?
The new contract would replace the school's partnership with the Valentino's offshoot, Premier Catering, for game day food and drinks. So there's actually a bit more to unpack here. I think we all knew beer was coming to the stadium eventually, right?
Yep.
But like, are you going to be able to get a 16-ounce Coors Light? Is it going to cost you $17 or like
it's going to be expensive? It's going to be really that.
I'm wondering what the options will be. Like, is there going to be some from the Nebraska Brewing Company, some of the craft brew, our dear friends at White Elm? Are we going to have some of the craft brew scene, or is it just going to be straight up 16-ounce domestics?
I
don't know.
From what I've heard, like I know, like I think they do concessions for both the Royals and the Chiefs. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
And it sounds like the way that they have things set up down there is that they do have like some local, I think, craft beers on tap. So we might get lucky and get some of those here in Lincoln. But yeah, they do the Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite type thing. But they might have a couple of local beers on tap. But don't know for sure. But that's what it sounds like.
You know what I hope they have that I have seen at multiple stadiums is like the self-service. So they have a big long, like 20 feet of just cooler, like water, beer, and all
of like fridges, coolers. Yeah.
And you go in and you grab what you want and you put it on the little camera thing and it tells you how much you owe. And there's like one worker there supervising this whole self-service thing. And you just go grab what you want, pay for it, and get the hell out of there. I don't want to go stand in line. I want to stand in a 20-person line, 20 deep person line to get 2 tall boys. Like, get the hell out of here. Unbelievable.
Don't give Jeff any ideas. I'm envisioning Jeff in the corner fridge, shoveling 16 ounces into his stupid Notre Dame sweatshirt. It's just jumping over the turnstile and taking off.
Go.
He did Jeff up and wear the Notre Dame hoodie again.
Yeah, don't Jeff it up.
Jeff it up. Saying, Jeff? No, I was going to your point before. It's going to be expensive. I mean, it's not going to be cheap.
Everything's going to go up.
Yeah. You get what you like. We wanted it, so we're going to pay for it. Now, the only thing that sucks, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that now that they're going to sell alcohol that we can leave during like halftime.
You might not be able to.
I think that we're going to have to stay in the stadium now. And I didn't fully think that through when I was campaigning of how great it would be if you could buy a beer at Memorial Stadium. Part of the game experience, in my opinion, is at halftime when you can like leave, go out to the parking lot, gather your thoughts, especially when things aren't going right, talk to your buddies, maybe drink a pop or two, and then come back in reinvigorated. Like, all right, it's the second half. We're going to turn things around. Yeah. Things are going to go great now.
I agree.
Now you're just kind of stuck inside. If this turns out the way it is, you don't get that anymore. Like that's kind of a drawback to this, if you ask me.
I like that too, Jeff. But the problem with that always for me is I'm never able to get back in time to see like the first 2 series of the second half.
Well, you get sucked
in. So it's like you're giving that.
Jeff doesn't care about that, Matt. Jeff doesn't care about that.
Those of us who care about the
I care about camaraderie,
football.
TJ. I care about camaraderie. Me and my friends coming together for the greater good. God bless America.
God bless camaraderie.
But I want to see every single play I can. Like I don't want to be like running back into the stadium trying to like pop my head over to each tailgate that has a TV as I'm trying to make my way back in.
There's TVs out there. Come on. You got a
Same.
radio.
It's not the same, Jeff.
You can hear the cheers from the parking lot right outside.
Yeah, and then I'm going, what are they cheering for? Did we score?
And then look at the television that's in the tailgate right next to you. And then you're good. Then you run back inside, piss everybody off because you're coming in late and like you have to shimmy across.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. And they look at you judgmentally like, oh, clearly he's been out in the parking lot for the last, 45 minutes just crushing fireball shooters.
I don't know. I think for me, I'm not as concerned about all that and being able to leave or not and what beer there will be. I'm hoping they're gonna have some local food, guys. Like if a Nebraska game
next, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna hold off then because I've
go there.
Oh, I just think you can't like and not necessarily like Val's for me, but like you gotta have Runza available.
Yeah,
and it really Val's would be sad for me too. Like if you don't have Val's and Runza at a Husker game, how are we different than every single other damn stadium in the country?
Yeah, that too.
Or a Fairbury hot dog. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes, like all those things to me are like that's local flavor. That's us. That's who we are. That's part of our identity.
It is. Now I assume the university has quite a bit of leverage in this arrangement.
I hope so.
And I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive, right? So I'm sure Aramark can provide
what the people
services, whatever they are,
give the people what they want,
and either the agreements with whoever Valentino's or maybe Aramark just makes the Fairbury brand hot dogs themselves and they taste the same. Whatever. Like, and maybe whether Aramark is overseeing sort of the Val's and Runza operation or that's separate. I'm sure if the University of Nebraska wants the local Val's and Runza to be part of the game day experience, that I'm sure that's part of the discussion. That's already been part of the discussion. Like
sure,
you get this $10 million contract, you're gonna allow for Valentino's pizza.
Well, there's sponsors too. They're not just serving their food in the stadium. Like Val's sponsors a lot of in-game segments and signage and Runza too, and so yeah, I mean. And while we're at it, if they're taking suggestions, can we get a damn Amigos taco truck back in the stadium like there used to be?
Chris meat burritos, $2 for $3. $2 for $3.
That would be fantastic.
And Big Red Lemonade. Get the Big Red Lemonade back in the stadium, damn it.
What if they're thinking like me, Matt? What if they're thinking like, Runza?
God forbid, Jeff.
I'll take it or leave it. That's fine. If you want to sell a couple of them, fine, whatever. But what if they're like that? Is this the biggest deal breaker for you of all time that you don't get to eat a hot beef and cabbage hot pocket on a 95-degree day in August? Is that the end of the world?
That's not when you need it the most. Then it's
or in November when it's
prime Runza eating at a Husker game starts in the beginning of October and goes to the end of November. That's prime Runza eating time. I'm with you. I don't want to be mid-September and it's 90 degrees at 2:30 in the afternoon and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a piping hot Runza right now. No, that's not me. But I just don't want us to be like
burritos, 2 for $3.
I would take that.
That's right. Now I know what's going on here. You guys are both two former sellers at the Memorial Stadium. I get it now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
they're called hawkers.
You're blind loyalty. You can just like being critical. I won't go into that. You can be critical of Runza and Valentino's. Just because you live here doesn't mean you have to have blind faith. All right, you can at least be a little bit critical about the quality and the cost. That's all.
How dare you?
Some of us had to work for a living, Jeff.
No, for the love of God,
you smug.
Don't get me started.
Smug little man.
I worked my way up too, Jeff. I started with peanuts, then I had popcorn.
Okay, there you go.
Then I had hot dogs one year, and then I ended with pop.
Pop
was a couple years into high school, Matty. I'd even leave football practice on Saturday mornings and then go down and sell. And I did the Cokes and they had the Sprites and they had the plastic
sleeve over the top of the plastic souvenir cup,
sticky stuff.
Dude,
and it was great.
Was it like the really heavy looking like metal rack?
The trays, the metal rack trays.
Wow.
Yeah, yes.
You were forged in steel, my friend.
That's exactly right.
That is, damn it, TJ. That's a Midwest work ethic right there. That's what you
Thank you
have.
for saying that. Spot on, Matty.
Well, look at you
Thank
guys.
you for saying that.
Good for you guys. Did you ever get your?
Oh no, we must have lost Jeff's audio.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Jeffed up again.
What
Jeffed
happened
it up
there?
again.
Yeah, I had a really good line there too about you getting your hot dog gun license, and Matt ruined it.
Good.
You conceal carry.
Yeah.
Your wiener conceal carry.
Are you licensed to handle that gun? Can you? Is that legal?
Conceal and carry that wiener. Wiener slinger. All right. Well, I think there's more to come on this, more to learn on this. Look, I think it's generally like it'd probably be commensurate with plans to make changes to Memorial Stadium. Whatever deal they struck, I'm sure will involve more money for the university, right? Yeah. Like there's probably a lot of good reasons behind it. And maybe there will be more options, guys, like for people who like if you don't want popcorn and hot dogs or you want something different from Val's and
give me a super pretzel, damn
Runza, like every now and then. They're really like if you think about most, at least like pro sporting events and even some college events, there are not a ton of options, I feel like. And there's actually fewer than there used to be. So maybe this will bring more options.
Maybe. Yeah. Nachos in a helmet. Give me some nachos in a helmet.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
A little Husker helmet with some nachos in it. Or you could also put ice. You could put ice cream in a Husker helmet.
There you go. Like an ice cream sundae in there.
Yeah. Those are a hit at Major League Baseball.
Exactly.
I get dude, the stadium nachos are gross.
Are they?
I mean the chips are always like stale or they're like if it's humid out, then they take on the humidity. And then the cheese is just like it's like out of a can. I don't know.
Right. The best. It's delicious.
By the way, Jeff,
authentic nachos.
They do
authentic.
They do have pretzels at Husker games, Jeff. I know this because my son gets one almost every single game.
I love pretzels, man.
Yeah, they probably actually have more than I realize. I don't even go to the concession stand. I just sit in my seat and wait for the Val's guy to come by. So I like the Val's and a hot dog usually.
Good man.
Anyway. Okay. One more thing to discuss. Interior offensive lineman Rocco Spindler.
Yo, Rocco.
Has left the barren wasteland of South Bend, Indiana, and he found Jesus in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Sit down, you fool.
Notre Dame offensive lineman Rocco Spindler, a grad transfer, has transferred to the Huskers. I think he's a senior. I think he's only got 1 year eligibility. I should have looked that up in advance. But he's absolutely going to be a starter next year. He can play center or guard. I think the Huskers will have some options there. Huge get for the Huskers.
Huge get.
Yeah, we previously got Pritchett, the offensive tackle from Alabama, who is, you assume that's a likely starter, and Spindler as a likely starter because we had, Ben Scott came from, where did he come from? Arizona State or Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona
Ben
State.
Scott's been the center the last 2 years. He was kind of a seasoned vet when he arrived, and so between like those two guys. And then some of we now like Henry Lutovsky on the offensive line, Justin Evans Jenkins on the offensive line, Gunnar Gatula. Mm-hmm. And then you got two guys, Teddy Prohaska and Turner Corcoran, who have played a lot of football for the Huskers and overcoming injury or working through injuries, but may well be back as well. And none of that to say anything about the offensive line classes that Matt Rhule has brought in, which every single one of them has been stacked with multiple offensive linemen. So pretty exciting. You got to feel pretty good about the top 7 or 8, but I feel like these two guys in particular in the portal really helped the situation on the offensive line. And Rocco Spindler is also an early candidate for the all-name team. So props to him.
Yeah. We needed an all-name team guy. I mean, it's what was the kid's name, the receiver? DeColdis Crawford. He was like all college football, all name team. So Rocco Spindler's pretty dang good.
Rocco Spindler's pretty solid.
That's a cool name. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
But it's
Jeff,
what? Huh? What, TJ?
Sorry, Matty. I was just gonna say, what are your people saying in South Bend about Rocco Spinlder.
They say the Huskers celebrate every W, like we say, celebrate every W. That's a good get for them. But frankly, the Irish didn't need him. They've got other resources, so they're just fine. Let's be honest, he was a next man up type of offensive lineman for the Irish, anyway.
No, so. I don't think he was.
I think he started almost two full seasons. Jeff.
I think that's completely made up.
Actually. No, it's not. That's not true at all. No, it's like I said, celebrate every W. That's a big one too, especially for if he is a senior. The way I look at it is he's played now under the biggest lights in college football, and I'm not saying that's good as a leader of men for a college football team. He played in the national title game this year, and I feel like that is a big get for the Huskers, and I'm happy for him. I mean, yeah, ideally, sure, I'd love to see him stay at Notre Dame, but you got to do what's best for you, and I think that's going to be good for the Huskers in the long run. And that's going to give that's going to give our boy Dylan Raiola a little bit more time in the pocket. We're going to have an experienced veteran there blocking for him. It's good. It's a good thing. But the Irish didn't need him anyways.
Well, what?
No, you had to throw that. You did it so well, and then you had to throw that in at the end.
What was the result of that game?
Watch your mouth, all right? You know what it was? Notre Dame cut it to 1 score and almost came back and won the game after being down 4 scores, okay? So that was the outcome of that game.
Matty, I think we cut you off way back there somewhere. Were you saying something?
I was just going to go back to how we talked about Matt Rhule addressing needs, and the portal that goes for the portal too. It's not like we're just out there willy-nilly grabbing whoever's there and whoever's interested. It's really guys that we need at the moment. We needed some O-line depth because we're a little young there. It's getting a long snapper, getting a punter, getting these couple big time receivers, a few big time receivers. It's not just oh, this guy's 4 stars, this guy's 5 stars. He's probably really good. Let's have him come here. It's really the stuff that we need to make this playoff run that we're going to make next year.
Yeah. Gibson Pyle is another guy.
That's a great one.
Offensive line recruit
in
the last year or two. Yeah, another all-name team candidate.
Yeah, it really is.
I had to go back. So knowing that we were going to talk about Rocco today, I went back and watched the clip from Rocco. Can't remember his last name in the movie, but Rocco is one of Michael Corleone's henchmen and right-hand men, and he's in The Godfather 1 and 2. And toward the beginning, when there's the attack at Michael's home, when he's in his bedroom, and then they're chasing the guys on the property, and Michael says he wants him alive, and Rocco says, "We'll try," and Michael says, "Rocco, alive." So that's ever since we got the Rocco Spindler commitment, just echoing through my head over and over has been Rocco alive.
So good.
So good.
You will never not have a Godfather reference.
I was just going to say any Godfather references are welcome on this program. In my opinion,
always welcome. Rocco doesn't make it to the end of the movie, unfortunately, but
no,
watch the movie if you're interested. Yep.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, guys? We covered a lot of ground today.
We did. We were kind of all over the place.
We did. This was fun. Yeah. This is kind of that weird season, we're trying to find, but luckily Nebraska football, never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. We got things to talk about, like new special teams coordinator, concessions, shakeups, some fun stuff.
Don't buy, you brought it up earlier, selling peanuts. Do you guys actually buy peanuts at a game?
No, but if someone else
at a baseball game, I would.
And actually, I probably never bought peanuts, but if someone I'm with has them, I will eat them like crazy. I do.
Really?
I'll just kind of nervously break the shells and sit there and eat them. I don't and I like peanuts. Who doesn't like peanuts? So but I just won't buy them on my own, I guess.
Okay. All right. I'm just checking.
I wouldn't do it at football. I would do it at a baseball game. I would buy it.
What's your problem with peanuts, Jeff? You got a problem with peanuts?
No, I don't. I don't like crunchy peanut butter. I'll tell you that much right now. It's got to be creamy all the way.
Oh, for sure. Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Wow. You agree with that? Usually I get a lot of pushback on the crunchy.
I like both. I don't hate on anyone that doesn't want crunchy peanut butter.
I mean, I will eat crunchy if it's the only thing available, but I'm all creamy all the time if I have a choice.
Yeah. And I'm not a big peanuts. I'm not a big sunflower seed guy either. Sorry. I know you probably love them, TJ.
I do, and you can go straight to hell. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I say to that.
It's savage. Spitting your seeds
go back to
everywhere.
Russia.
Yeah,
this is America. We eat sunflower seeds here, especially at outdoor sporting events.
If he dies, he dies.
Particularly baseball.
Yeah, you know where they don't like sunflower seeds, Jeff? North Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is America.
Why don't you go hang out with? No, never mind. We'll stop the joke.
Stop the
joke. Stop the joke.
Cut it. Why don't you mute him? Cut his mic off, Owen. Cut him off.
He's the general. I can't do that.
Oh, you sweet bastard. All right. Boys, great conversation, great discussion. The only thing I can guess is so once this episode comes out, it'll be the day after the Super Bowl. So we're recording it before the Super Bowl. That's why we don't have any hot takes or reactions to the actual game itself. My only guess is by the time we have another episode, more news will have broken on something related to Husker football. There's always something going on.
Always winning the off season.
That's exactly right. But we got a lot, and beyond that, we got a lot of sort of longer term fun, sort of non-timely episodes planned for the offseason. So we're looking forward to all that. More to come soon. But we appreciate you hanging out with us as always, Common fans. Go to www.commonfan.co. Check out the website. Sign up for the newsletter. It's free. Sign up for all the fun and frivolity with the Common fans.
And subscribe on YouTube. Damn it. Do it.
Please subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube right now.
We are so close. We are so close to 1,000. Help us get there. Tell your friends, coworkers, family members.
We're this close. We're almost there.
Absolutely. Everyone subscribe. We're getting there. So much fun to do this. We have so much planned for the offseason. We're very excited about it. And we'll be back at you soon. In the meantime, as always, GBR for life.